Have you ever been so sure about an investment? I mean, just absolutely certain, deep in your bones that you were right? Well, today we're going to talk about the powerful, invisible force that's probably driving that feeling. And spoiler alert, it might just be the single most destructive thing happening in your financial life. All right, let's get into it.
So, it always starts with what feels like good old-fashioned research. A few weeks back, I was feeling great about a stock I've owned for a while, Tesla. And I thought, I should probably do a little reading, just, to stay informed.
So I hop on Google. A search for the Tesla bull case gets you, over 800,000 results? And a search for the bear case brings back more than 400,000. Now here's the thing. Both sides of the argument are right there. They're easy to find. The internet is offering you a balanced view if you actually want one. But the real question is, do we?
Over the next month, I kept at it. I clicked on 21 different articles and reports about Tesla. And wouldn't you know it, pretty much every single one told me exactly what I already wanted to believe. It just kept patting me on the back for a decision I'd already made.
So out of all that reading, how many articles did I read that challenged my idea? How many pieces made me second-guess my position? Just 2. That's it. So out of 23 articles total, my brain, on autopilot, guided me to 21 that made me feel smart and comfortable, and only 2 that made me feel, a little uneasy. And the craziest part? Afterwards, I actually thought to myself, wow, I am really well researched on this.
There's a name for this, of course. This is confirmation bias. And please, don't mistake this for some harmless little personality quirk. In the investing world, this thing is an absolute portfolio killer. And it's so dangerous because it works in the dark, while you're telling yourself you're making smart, rational choices. So, to figure out how we can fight this thing, we first have to understand why our brains are even wired this way to begin with. This isn't about being smart or dumb. This is about biology. Let's take a look at the actual science of it.
So what is it really? Confirmation bias is basically our brain's default setting. It's a preference for info that lines up with what we already think is true. Think of it like a mental shortcut that feels efficient and makes us feel good. But in reality, it's actively filtering out anything that doesn't fit our narrative. It prioritizes the comfort of being right over the messy work of finding the truth.
Now check this out. It gets even weirder. A landmark study at Stanford took 2 groups of people. One group strongly supported the death penalty, the other was strongly against it. They gave both groups the exact same set of balanced research with strong arguments for and against. So what happened? You think maybe they'd find some middle ground, right? Nope. Both groups dug in their heels and became even more convinced they were right all along. Reading opposing facts actually strengthened their original belief.
And this shows us exactly what's happening inside our skulls. Using fMRI scans, researchers at Emory University saw that when we're faced with facts that contradict our core beliefs, the logical, reasoning parts of our brain, they literally start to shut down. They just go quiet.
And instead, our emotional centers light up like a Christmas tree. The very same areas that react when we face a physical threat. So get this. Your brain doesn't see a negative analyst report on your favorite stock as an interesting puzzle to solve. It sees it as a lion jumping out of the bushes. It sees an attack, and it gets ready to fight. And you can imagine what a disaster that is when you're trying to manage a portfolio.
Okay, so let's bring this out of the lab and into the real world, where there's real money on the line. Because this isn't just a theory. This pattern plays out over and over again, and man, it can be absolutely devastating.
I heard this exact quote from an investor who lost almost everything in the big AI stock bubble. He honestly, truly believed he had done his homework. But when I asked him, okay, so what bearish arguments did you read? He couldn't name one, not a single one. See, he hadn't spent 200 hours researching the stock. He had spent 200 hours researching confirmation.
Does any of this sound a little familiar? He had systematically, without even realizing it, built himself a perfect echo chamber. He joined online groups full of other believers, followed all the hype accounts on social media, and if he ever saw a critical opinion, he immediately wrote it off as FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. He wasn't on a mission for truth, he was on a mission for validation.
And this journey, it almost always follows these 5 predictable phases. First, you have the hypothesis. This stock is going to be huge. Then comes the search, where you start looking for anything and everything that proves you're a genius. Next, you build the echo chamber, surrounding yourself with people who agree with you. Phase 4 is the dismissal. This is where your brain treats any bad news as an attack. And that leads, almost inevitably, to the final phase, the disaster, where reality hits and you're left wondering what went wrong.
because you never even considered the other side of the story.
Okay, the problem is clear, and it's literally hardwired into our brains. So what in the world are we supposed to do about it? How do you fight your own biology? Well, the good news is it's not hopeless, but it does require you to be deliberate. You need a system to protect you from you.
Here are 4 super powerful, actionable rules you can start using today. First up, the 50-50 reading rule. It's simple. For every positive article you read about your investment, you have to read a negative one. No excuses. Second, the steelman exercise. Don't just read the other side's argument. Try to argue it yourself so well that someone would actually think you believe it. Third, the pre-mortem. Before you invest, imagine it's a year from now and the investment has been a total disaster. Write out the story of exactly why it failed. And finally, the exit criteria test. Before you even click buy, write down precisely what would have to happen for you to admit you were wrong and sell the position.
So here's what it all boils down to. You have to ask yourself, is my belief based on real conviction or is it just comfort? Real conviction is an idea that has been through the ringer. It's been challenged, it's been attacked, it's been tested, and it's survived. Comfort, on the other hand, is just an idea that's been shielded from any challenge at all. They might feel the same, but they are worlds apart in quality.
At the end of the day, confirmation bias feels good. It feels safe. It feels like you're being smart. But it's a trap. The best investors in the world, they live in a state of intellectual discomfort because they are always trying to poke holes in their own best ideas. They know the market couldn't care less about how they feel. It doesn't pay for comfort. It only pays for being accurate. So the question you have to ask yourself is, which one are you really chasing?